Hello, girls and boys, wherever you are today. I'm Mrs. V. Get ready to learn something different concerning the Israelites. We begin with a new song. Can you remember the 3 times of day mentioned in this song?
Whisper a prayer in the morning, whisper a prayer at noon, whisper a prayer in the evening to keep your heart in tune.
What does the word noon refer to? Noon is when the sun is at the highest point in the sky. When it moves down away from that point, we say it's afternoon. Get it? How many ways can we pray? Yes, a whisper, an ordinary voice in your mind. What might it mean to keep your heart in tune? Ever tried to tune a radio, perhaps the car radio? When it is in tune, you can hear perfectly what is being broadcasted. There may be times when your heart is not in tune with God's voice. Why might that be so? Perhaps you're not really listening anyway. Maybe there's something troubling you inside and you just keep thinking about it all the time. If this is so, then you can't hear God trying to help you or comfort you. So what should you do? Yes, you should tell God everything that is making you unhappy and ask him to work it out for you. God, who created the world and created you, loves you so much and never stops thinking about you. You are precious to him. Maybe your heart is out of tune because you've been going your own way and ignoring God. So what should you do then? Correct. Say you are sorry for what you've done and ask him to forgive you. Now let's move on to the second verse.
God answers prayer in the morning. God answers prayer at noon. God answers prayer in the evening. So keep your heart in tune.
Here is something else to remember, and that is our loving God answers prayer at any time of the day. Isn't it amazing that God would want you to talk to him? He really wants to help you because he loves you. And now, a story from the best book in the world. Here is someone in today's story. You already may know his name. Get it? Moses. Now, check this out. Can you name the events in these pictures? Did you say the people escaping from Egypt? Yeah, you did well. What about the second one? Did you say something about crossing the Red Sea on dry land? Correct. The Israelite people, 1 million of them, crossed a water barrier and again escaped from the Egyptian army. Now, what about the third picture? Yes, the Egyptian army were drowned as the Red Sea flooded them out. And what about the fourth? Yeah, this is when the people went wild, went on their own way and worshipped an idol. You know, there are 2 types of people amongst the Israelites. There was one group who had seen God's miracles, and they knew that he loved them. And there was another group. They saw the same miracles, and they didn't trust God. This group decided to live according to their own way and ignore God. These people made it so hard for Aaron and the other Hebrew people when Moses was up on the mountain. They said things like, "Where is this Moses guy? What's happened to him? Has he been eaten by a mountain lion? We don't want Moses to lead us. We need a God that we can see and touch." And so they argued like this day after day. Girls and boys, these people were rejecting God in their hearts. They wanted their own way. They didn't want to live by God's rules. When Moses descended from the mountain and saw such willful behavior, in anger, he threw down the tablets of the 10 Commandments, smashing them to bits. It wasn't the only thing he smashed that day. As soon as he could, he destroyed the golden calf, melting it, turning it into powder, and made the disobedient people drink it in the water. Yuck. What commandment had they broken? Yes, the first commandment, which says, "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make yourself an idol." But what does that really mean? When you try to please someone or something more than trying to please God, then you are worshipping an idol. You may want to become famous, rich, popular, a comedian, important, or top sports star, and ignore God while you do it. Your time, effort, and dreams are used to do those things, and you don't even think about pleasing God. It is okay to be those things, but not good when you ignore God in the process. That day, 3,000 were killed for their disobedience, and a day or so later, more died of a plague because of their idolatry. Moses returned up the mountain to plead with God to forgive the people. God told Moses that those who had rejected God would have their names wiped out of his book of life. Moses pleaded with God not to abandon the Israelites because God was mighty angry with these stiff-necked people. Moses returned to the camp and moved his prayer tent outside of the camp. When he entered the tent to pray, a cloud pillar settled at the entrance. Pillar, not pillow. Everyone knew that God was present talking with Moses, and they stood respectfully outside their tents. God considered Moses to be his friend. Friend of God. What a lovely title. So what did Moses pray? We can only guess. Oh, I have sons. What about my family? What about these disobedient people? What did God say to Moses? When your heart is in tune with God, you can hear him speak to you. What would you say to God? God instructed Moses to return to the mountaintop. First of all, he had to chisel out 2 more tablets for God to write on. In God's presence, Moses asked God to lead the people into the new land. Moses also had a deep desire to really know God and to see him. God showed Moses his glory and promised to go with Moses and the people of Israel into their new land. There were some more wonderful promises God made to Moses and the people of Israel. God wrote the 10 Commandments on the newly chiseled tablets. After 40 days being with God, Moses returned to the camp. Something had happened to Moses which scared some people. We don't know exactly what it was, but he looked different. His face was shining. Do we seem different to others because we spend time with God? Could it be that people notice different things? Moses spoke to the leaders, explaining all that God had said. After that, he put a veil covering on his face so the people wouldn't be scared to look at him. Oh, sorry. You have to wait until next week to find out what God had planned for the Israelites. Let's sing our new song again.